TransAmerica, is it the best trans movie of all time? Let's talk about that. Hello, you beautiful people. I'm Mizzz Sally Pryde. That's with 3 Z's and Y, because why not? So let's get this out of the way first. There is not a trans actress in the role, but there is a cis woman in the role. And frankly, that's a little bit better, but still not as great as having a trans person in the role. Because, well, you need more opportunities for trans actors and stuff like that in the roles, plus there's a level of authenticity. However, that being said, there is a level of authenticity to this film. Stuff like voice training and the different types of surgeries you can get as a trans woman are featured in there. That this character, Bree, has already had facial harmonization surgery and is anticipating getting bottom surgery. They show voice training tape, which seems pretty accurate to me. They show even the small stuff like getting dressed in the morning. That's a pretty accurate experience of what it's like to be a trans woman getting ready in the morning. One of the things I really like about this film is how they talk about what every trans person wants. Not every trans person is going to get a surgery. Not every trans person wants a surgery. It says, as most trans people on there, we just want to live our lives. And something called stealth. Stealth is where you live your life not telling people you're trans. We walk among you, and you never noticed. We are stealth. Now, I've mentioned this before, and to be clear, stealth does not mean you don't tell your partners that you're trans. Stealth means you don't tell, like, your coworkers and stuff like that. Because, well, it's not really their business. And seriously, the transphobes who comment on my videos, you honestly think about my genitals more than I do. That's pretty creepy. And they bring up a good point that bottom surgery, generally speaking, is so effective and so accurate that even gynecologists can't tell. It's not a deformed penis, it's a vagina. If a gynecologist can't tell the difference, why do you think you can? So Bree's only friend is her therapist, which is really sad. Bree learns she has a son who's in the correctional facility in New York. This child came about due to what she called a tragically lesbian event in college. One of the things I like about this movie, it is a comedy, but they don't make the jokes about her being trans necessarily. Like, there are jokes about how when she goes to pick up her son that she's never met before, the bail is set at $1. She expects the bail to be much higher, and she instinctively says, I can't possibly afford that, and then realizes, oh, it's just $1. I can afford that. And her son, Toby, wants to be in the industry. I'm probably going to have to bleep that on YouTube, but if you want to hear what I said uncensored, go on and sign up for my Patreon. But hey, if you can't do that, at least give this video a like and subscribe. I put a lot of work into this. And then Toby makes his funny point in the car about the Lord of the Rings.
Did you know the Lord of the Rings is gay?
I beg your pardon?
There's this big black tower, right? And it points right at this huge burning vagina thing. And it's like the symbol of ultimate evil. And then Sam and Frodo have to go into this cave and deposit their magic ring into this hot, steaming lava pit. Only at the last minute, Frodo can't perform, so Gollum bites off his finger. Gay.
So the Lord of the Rings is pretty gay, according to him. Sounds like one of my videos, doesn't it? The biggest problem I have with this film is Bree. It's not that I don't think her portrayal has a certain level of authenticity to it. The problem with Bree is that she's just not a very likable person. She seems somewhat authentic to the trans experience, but her personality is not very likable. She corrects everyone over the minute of grammar. She's very judgmental of a lot of other people when she is very judged by society. Bree's therapist decided to withhold her letter to get bottom surgery until she reconnects with her son. The thing is, Bree later admits she's not ready for motherhood. Motherhood and womanhood are two different things. Motherhood is a relationship you have with either your child or someone who you're a role model to. But womanhood is a relationship to yourself, so she shouldn't be denied this. So she tries to take a road trip with her son to go to California to get her surgery. She keeps lying. She keeps saying she's part of the Church of the Potential Father. But the thing is, she could have just told the truth. In the end, he's pretty accepting. The problem was that he wasn't told. Her son wasn't told. And She even, like, puts down her friends at, like, a gender diversity club she's found in the middle of nowhere from one of her friends, like...
Like.
And they actually have some good representation of gender diversity there, although I didn't catch any non-binary people. But they do have trans men there, which I think is a big step up, at least for 2005. They're not gender challenged, they're gender gifted. And I love that. Frankly, we should be saying that. I'm gender gifted. When people comment that I'm confused about my gender, I could say, I'm not gender challenged. I'm gender gifted. And the line, we walk among you, because really, people can't tell. For as much as these trans investigators try to determine who's trans, they don't know shit. They really don't. Because seriously, if you're accusing cis women who just gave birth of being trans, I think you need to review the basics here. And of course, since it's 2005, Toby figures out she's trans because he sees her penis when she goes to take a leak. Of course, that's how he figures it out. And he gets upset. And then they meet this hippie.
I die in a depressurization accident.
Oh, that did not age well. And the hippie plays supportive. And they bring up great points here of like two-spirit and stuff like that. That trans people have always existed. But the hippie ends up stealing their vehicle. But he ends up stealing her hormones in the process. And then her cycle's out of whack. Yes, she has a cycle, as she says. It's hormones. Hormones are hormones. And then they get some help from a Native American who's super supportive and everything. Oh, and it turns out her parents are actually alive, even though she said they were dead. Which makes sense given how unsupportive her family is. Except for her sister, who is actually pretty supportive. And they're trying to hide the fact that, like, Toby's their grandson. And they even make an offer that, like, they'll lend her money, but Toby has to stay with them, but he doesn't want to do that. But yet they still find a way to get to California, so... And yeah, it turns out she got the grammar from her mother, which I get it, but still. If you want to have a relatable character, which I think is a good idea for a film like this, because you want people to relate to minorities, you need to have a likable character in the role. And it also shows fragrant transphobia, because she's wearing this beautiful dress, but yet her mother still says it's disgusting on her. Transphobes, they don't care. So long as you're trans, they're going to call you disgusting, which is not a new thing. If you think you're being clever by doing the vomit emoji, come on, get something original. And, like, she's not treated as part of the family. Like, she has to take the pictures that being in them. Like, they do not accept her as part of the family. And that's a rough side to hear. But for a lot of trans people, this is just a reality. And it's important to depict that as well. However, I wish it would have been a more balanced take here. Hear me out. Her sister is supportive, but still has issues here and there with, like, dead naming her and misgendering her on accident. One way I would have changed this is to say her parents aren't supportive, but her sister is. And they could say, like, they've been in correspondence, like, they call each other on the phone sometimes, or they're pen pals or something like that. Or even, like, they chat online. I mean, this was 2005. Something like that to show, like, hey, this is what a really good trans ally looks like. I feel like that would have been really good. Similar to what happened with Boy Meets Girl, to have good allies there. However, Boy Meets Girl has its own problems, but nonetheless. And I do not want to talk about the Oedipus thing, because, wow, that's unnecessary, and part of Bree's own making because she lied to her son. And then in the end she gets the surgery, and her therapist goes all the way across the country to see her. Wow, that's a really nice therapist. Toby achieves his dream in the industry. I guess it's a happy ending in the end. So that was TransAmerica. Is it the best trans movie of all time? No. Not even close. But it is good representation. And I think it's a good outline for what people can do better. Just, include trans people in it. Trans people should be in the roles they're playing and in the writing process. Plus, I think you need a good balanced take here of good and bad. And if there's a movie you'd like me to talk about at a later time, let me know down in the comments. I got a whole bunch coming up, so thank you so much. Bye.